Behind every legend lies a reason. This is Myth and Motive.
Glacial meltwater can accumulate rapidly during volcanic events, creating immense pressure behind ice dams. This phenomenon, known as a jokulao, releases catastrophic floods that can travel hundreds of kilometers. The individual sought refuge within the glacier's structure, where air pockets and crevasses can form temporary shelters. Glacial ice provides insulation, but temperatures remain dangerously below freezing, risking hypothermia. Similar survival scenarios have occurred in alpine and polar regions, where glacial features offer unexpected protection. The structural integrity of glacial ice can be compromised by volcanic heat and meltwater infiltration. This created a race against time as floodwaters rose outside the temporary ice refuge. Glacial environments present unique survival challenges, including limited oxygen and navigation difficulties. This phenomenon occurs when volcanic heat rapidly melts glacial ice, creating a sudden, massive release of water. The resulting mixture of water, volcanic ash, and debris forms a fast-moving slurry known as a lahar. Lahars can travel at speeds exceeding 60 kilometers per hour, carrying boulders and uprooted trees. Unlike lava flows, which move slowly, lahars can reach populated areas with little warning. The 1985 Nevado del Ruiz tragedy demonstrated how lahars can devastate communities far from the eruption site. These flows follow river valleys and drainage channels, amplifying their destructive potential. The mixture's density allows it to carry objects much larger than normal floodwaters could transport. Understanding this secondary volcanic effect is crucial for hazard planning in glacier-covered volcanic regions. Glacial outburst floods, known as jokulaos, are sudden and devastating events. They occur when volcanic heat melts glacial ice, creating immense pressure beneath the ice cap. This pressurized water eventually bursts through the ice, unleashing a catastrophic flood. These floods can carry millions of cubic meters of water, ice, and rock at speeds exceeding highway limits. Their destructive power often surpasses that of the initial volcanic eruption due to their scale and suddenness. Warning time is minimal, as the flood can travel from its source to populated areas in mere minutes. Everything in the flood's path, bridges, roads, and structures, can be obliterated by the force of water and debris. For anyone in the vicinity of an erupting volcano capped by ice, the jokulao becomes the immediate and overwhelming threat. The primary dangers of falling ash, pyroclastic flows, and lava were present, but the rising steam and violent cracking of the glacier signaled a more imminent threat: the meltwater flood. This phenomenon, known as a jokulao, occurs when volcanic heat rapidly melts glacial ice, creating catastrophic flash floods. Unlike typical floods that follow predictable drainage patterns, these glacial outburst floods can travel at highway speeds and carry immense debris. With floodwaters beginning to surge, conventional high ground was not a viable option for refuge. The counterintuitive solution involves seeking shelter in specific geological formations that could redirect or withstand the flood's force. This survival strategy relies on understanding fluid dynamics rather than simple elevation gain. Similar principles apply in other natural disasters, where traditional evacuation routes become death traps. The decision to abandon conventional wisdom in favor of geological understanding became the critical survival factor. The survivor's decision to seek shelter within the glacial ice was a critical, calculated move for survival. This likely involved entering a crevasse or an ice cave system, natural formations within the moving ice. The primary motive was to move upward, away from the raging meltwater or floodwaters churning below the ice. However, this sanctuary was profoundly hostile. Interior temperatures consistently hover at or below freezing. Surfaces are treacherously slick and unstable, composed of hard ice or covered in meltwater. The environment is dynamic and unstable, with a constant risk of collapse from shifting ice or structural failure. This creates a paradox. Refuge from one immediate threat exposes a person to multiple other lethal environmental hazards. Survival in such conditions depends on managing hypothermia, avoiding falls, and hoping the fragile ice structure holds. The survivors' primary challenge was avoiding hypothermia in the freezing water. They had to constantly search for pockets of breathable air trapped beneath the ice. Survival depended entirely on whatever gear they had with them at the time. Insulating layers were critical for maintaining core body temperature in sub-zero conditions. Any available heat source, however small, could mean the difference between life and death. Basic tools helped navigate the ice structure and potentially create escape routes. The duration of entrapment was determined by how long the floodwaters took to recede. Their icy shelter's stability was constantly threatened by shifting water pressure and temperature changes. The escape began only after the floodwaters had fully receded and volcanic activity had significantly decreased. Their extraction from the glacier was a methodical process, requiring careful navigation through unstable ice structures. The landscape they emerged into was fundamentally transformed by the combined volcanic and glacial events. This transformation created numerous new hazards, including unstable terrain, hidden crevasses, and altered water drainage patterns. Contrary to some depictions, the ice cave was not a comfortable shelter. but a desperate survival gamble in a fracturing environment. Such accounts are typically anonymized, which explains why specific locations, volcano names, and exact dates remain unknown. The journey to safety required navigating this hazardous new terrain while monitoring for renewed volcanic or glacial activity. This scenario illustrates how volcanic events can rapidly alter glacial environments, creating complex, multi-layered survival challenges. The survivors' primary adversary was the glacier itself, not just the volcanic activity. Glaciers present unique hazards like hidden crevasses, unstable ice structures, and sudden meltwater floods. The full psychological and physical long-term impacts on the survivor remain unknown to outsiders. We only know the definitive outcome. They survived the event. This account highlights critical principles for surviving complex, multi-threat disasters. In extreme environments, identifying the primary, immediate threat is a crucial first step for survival. In volcanic regions near ice, the secondary threat of flooding can be deadlier than the eruption itself. This occurs when volcanic heat rapidly melts ice and snow, creating sudden, massive floods known as geological or Lahars. Effective risk assessment must therefore be multi-layered, considering both the primary volcanic event and these secondary cascading hazards. Shelter strategies are highly contextual in such complex disasters. What is safe in one disaster, like seeking high ground during a flood, may be inaccessible or dangerous in another. Survival in these scenarios sometimes requires counterintuitive, calculated risks. These decisions must be based on the specific physics of the combined threats, the interaction of heat, ice, water, and terrain. This principle of layered threats and contextual response applies beyond volcanology to many complex fraud and scandal scenarios. The survivor's experience demonstrates the volatile interplay between climate change and geological activity. As glaciers melt due to warming temperatures, they expose unstable terrain and alter regional hydrology. This geological instability can trigger volcanic activity through reduced pressure on magma chambers. These combined forces create extreme environments where rapid changes occur without warning. The collision of fire and ice represents one of Earth's most unpredictable natural systems. Adaptation requires understanding both climatic patterns and geological processes simultaneously. Survival in such environments depends on analyzing multiple natural systems in real time. This demonstrates how planetary-scale changes create local survival challenges. This principle applies directly to financial fraud, where the most visible warning signs often distract from the underlying deception. In many corporate scandals, the initial crisis that captures public attention is not the primary threat. The real danger frequently lies in systemic failures, accounting tricks, or cultural problems that remain obscure. Paradoxically, understanding the full mechanism of the fraud can provide the path to resolution. This mirrors environmental disasters, where the immediate pollution event distracts from deeper ecological damage. The solution often emerges from studying the phenomenon itself. Analyzing the fraud's patterns reveals weaknesses. This demonstrates human resilience through systematic analysis, rather than dramatic confrontation. The case study shows that awareness comes from looking beyond surface dangers to systemic truths.
If the legend hooked you, subscribe and open the next case.